Aloha! Welcome to Mystic Wisdom Dialogues, number God knows how many, broadcasting from the boat in Gibsons, BC, just north of Vancouver. And I'm here to help nourish our souls. As I share with you, I nourish my own soul through the principle of oneness, and I am so grateful to be here with you. My morning could be totally dysfunctional, but when I come to be with you guys, it all comes together. I love that. So, what's on your mind? What's on your hearts today? Let's find out. Let's close our eyes, open your crown center, and breathe in golden white light from your higher self, allowing yourself to be and feel your higher nature, that part of you that lives forever, the part of you that is innocent and free. Use your breath, nice, slow, deep breaths in from above. And allowing all of you to come present. Great Spirit, God, source of all, thank you for these moments that we share together, remembering who we are beyond this body and who we are within this body. What we are, more precise, would be love, light, gratitude, and grace, living this life, viewing it through our limited perspective we call human. We thank you for all the blessings and all the challenges, and we are so grateful to be here right now, here on earth, sharing our love with those we meet, those we live with, even those that hate us. We can love them too, because we know beyond this physical dimension, which lives within us, is perfection, is innocence, pure, golden, warm light. The feeling of home we call heaven. And through our meditations, which are not necessarily just clearing the mind of thought, but our meditations are an observance of our humanness from the light that we are, as the light that we are, as the unconditional love that cascades down from above into our body to bless our life stream. Take a deep breath and make it so. Feel that oneness within you, so strong, so alive, so free, so joyful, with so much peace. Hey, komo mai is what they would say in Hawaii, which means welcome. Well, come. You gotta love the English language. There's a lot of obvious hints for metaphors and concepts. Come, union. Welcome. Even the word aloha. Alo, to share, and ha, the breath of God. course, it means a lot more than that, many, many things. But I think that's just about the best meaning that I like to use. And like the word lomi lomi, the kahuna that I studied with, Abraham Kawai, he would say it is to remove what doesn't belong. Breathe that in. You could remove what doesn't belong with every breath. You can reunite. You can come union with perfection, innocence, with every breath, removing what doesn't belong. The busy mind chatter that is constantly cutting us down, telling us we can't do things, we're not good enough, we're not worthy. It's not true. So let's breathe in some more of that beautiful golden light. And this is our Sunday morning meds here on the west coast of the United States. Actually, I'm in Vancouver. It all feels like one big country to me. North America is kind of like a country. But we won't get into that because there's a lot of humbug going on politically around all of that. And today I want to share with you focus. Makia in Hawaiian, shamanism. What you focus on increases. Breathe that in. Think about that for a moment. What you focus on increases in your awareness. Yeah. That's why we like a lot of stimulants to influence our focus. But what we don't notice quite often is how our focus is being influenced by our subconscious choices. Like who we're hanging out with, for instance. It's common knowledge, and yet we're not quite aware all the time when it's happening, that who we're hanging out with is heavily influencing our focus. It seems obvious to the conscious mind when you look at it carefully. You look at how your life is going, financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and then you look at the people you're hanging out with and listening to. Especially the ones that trigger you. They're the juicy ones. Yeah. And the tendency, of course, of the ego is to beat ourselves up over not being so conscious about the ones we hang out with and how much they are influencing our life stream. Yeah, it's quite a bit. So I'm just going to keep hitting this beautiful French lavender aroma and influencing my dialogue this morning of wisdom, mystic wisdom. You know, it's amazing how many cultures have come before us, came and went, who had a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. Like in Hawaii, it would have been the Menehune, which a lot of the Hawaiian kahunas that I studied with would promote the legend that they came from the Pleiades, the seven sisters that cluster of stars in the winter sky in the northern hemisphere called the Pleiades. And they brought with them knowledge that was extremely profound, some would call metaphysical, of how to interact with the world, with energy specifically, and how they could build a fish pond in a third of the time it would take others. And of course, you could look at other cultures, like how the pyramids were built and Easter Island and all of that stuff. And even Michelangelo, where he's cutting away what doesn't belong to create these statues that we've fallen in love with. Yeah. And we have access to all these tools. They live within us. A lot of them are buried. We have to go find them, and that's kind of an interesting research, for sure. Because it reminds me of a lyric in a Neil Young song. My mind is such a fine mine. So what is it that is existing latent within you that you want to bring forward, that you would like to experience more of? More joy, more peace, more creativity, more love, more money, whatever it is. Because we've been taught through so many of the teachers today that we have access to it all. Lately, I've been studying with Tony Robbins, and he's just one of so many that are teaching the same technology, which I call miracle mindset technology, because a miracle is a shift from fear, I can't do it, and all the reasons why, into love. Of course I can do it, because I have infinite resources within. So when that becomes reflected without, not having the money doesn't stop people from doing things when they have really quality in resources within. And yet it seems to me that from the time we wake up till the time we go to bed, there is a voice that is limiting our capacity at every turn, protecting us from all kinds of things, life in general. And then we have time. Do we have time? Of course, there never seems to be enough time for the things that we would prefer to be doing, or feelings we would prefer to be having. And so all the teachings today seem to be pointing towards the patterns that we're running, and to observe those patterns. And of course, that's not enough. Observing is the first step of changing how you feel, the experience you're having with your life. What's the next step? Taking action. And that seems to be the hardest one for not only me, but for pretty much everybody I know who is somewhat creative in doing their creative thing. And yet, when you're not getting the results you want, you tend to want to just drop it or back out or start to believe that it's not working, and it won't ever work. But that's not the way life is constructed. If you look at the seasons of nature, We have these seasons within us too, with every creative project, with every relationship. Yeah, the seasons of our life. Very strong. For instance, when you fall in love, let's choose a juicy one. There's a spring happening. Everything is fresh and you feel new and you feel vibrant and you feel virile, you feel alive, you feel young, regardless of your age. You get flooded with all of this energy, endorphins, and it's a beautiful experience. We all know this, the people who have had this experience and believed that it was true love, going to last forever, and on into marriage and children and houses and dogs and cars and televisions and insurance and life policies and family meals and gatherings and on and on and on, the human way. And yet what always seems to happen is after the spring, there's a summer, and that's the thriving of everything when it's really, really working. There's so much sunshine, so much fun and gratitude for things in bloom. Yeah. And these are not connected so much to the profound, definitive cycles of nature. We're using the seasons as a metaphor of what's happening within us. So after the summer, there's the fall. And what would that look like for a long-term relationship? It would look like a breakup. It would look like a divorce. It would look like things wilting, leaves dropping, all of the fruit, a lot of it is gone. And then there's this winter where there's this quiet disconnection with something that we brought into form in the spring of our life. Now, when you apply this metaphor as well to aging, it's quite interesting to look at that. Because here we are, innocent, free souls, having a human experience in this body that is constantly attempting to convince us that we live and we die. We live and we die, right? And you know, that's relatively true for the body, absolutely. But it also brings up the question of who are we in this body and what is beyond physical death? And that's what they call in New Age circles the awakening. We awaken to that aspect of us that is not physical. But it is us. In fact, it's the permanent part of us, which in A Course in Miracles would be the part of us that is God, offspring of God. And it's permanent. Apparently it had no birth and it has no death. Now, when we connect with our divinity, with our peace, with our joy, with our happiness, so thoroughly, we feel that frequency of heaven. We feel that abundance of gratitude for the source spring of life. Because what they've discovered is that love is an expansion. It's an all-encompassing opening love. That's why when you fall in love, you fall into this opening where you can touch your immortal self which is innocent and radiant and ready to give our heart to someone. And as we mature in various relationships, it becomes giving our heart to share with someone. And as we evolve into even more deeper relationships with our inner self, we find ourselves giving our heart back to ourself, to ourself. Yeah. And then the final stage would be giving our heart to ourself, our wholeness as a sovereign being, and then sharing that with other sovereign beings. Breathe that in. Isn't that exquisite? And that's why we come to these meetings. That's why we come for a reflection of sovereignty, joy, peace, happiness. And, in most of the Christian communities and even other religions, Sunday has been the day set aside for that, for so many reasons. And so even if we don't go to what we think of in the past as a church, I find all over the planet there are these dance churches. They call them dance temples. Dance temple on Sunday morning where people go, they dance. Now the one in Victoria, Canada here, there's no touching and there's no talking, and you dance for an hour and a half and just sweat all that doesn't belong. You can smile and eye contact, but they are promoting sovereignty of spirit, mind, and body. And in that, there's a communion of spirit, which has nothing to do with touch. So I think that's very beautiful how the New Age communities have evolved into that, spiritual communities, whatever you want to call them. Because moving the body and bringing the spirit into the body is a very primal way to stay healthy, to stay connected with your whole self. It's like I was saying to John, who's here in the podcast, weeks ago, that one of the best ways to distract the mind from any kind of pain that we're in is to do something creative, something extremely requires your focus to create, like a painting or a drawing or a poem or a song or a book. When we pour ourselves into something creative, we open the channel above us for more light, more love to come in, because love is the expanding principle in the universe. And when we choose to create something, we're moving into that channel of expansion beautifully. And so if you want to distract yourself from, a negative mindset or a breakup you've just had or a grievance that you're inside of, these are all good things to completely, to feel them completely, and breathe light into them, bring them to light and breathe light into them. And as those feelings begin to melt, diminish, pick up a creative project and just go for it. And all that love, all that energy you were pouring into that grieving process, which is a wound of some sort, it will heal so much faster once you set your mind on something creative. So there you go. think that's a lot to handle. We've got the seasons, observing the seasons of what season we're in a particular relationship, whether it be with a business or a person. Are you in the spring? Is it just starting up? And look how much challenge there is in the spring. Even though there's a lot of sweetness, you know, things pushing up out of the earth, things pushing up out of branches, you know, birds, having to hack away at the shell to get out. Dragonflies and butterflies completely morphing into an entirely different energy. Yeah. And then the summer, where everything is full on open and just blown open. Because the sun is such a strong energy. It feeds our souls through the body, which is, to me, is like a solar panel. For me. That's why I like to tan without clothes and have those really delicate places the sun doesn't shine that really absorbs the sun really well. It's like, wow, where have you been? Yeah. And then, but in the summer, you may notice, which is coming, in 3 months, it's almost as if somebody took the deck of cards of your life and just threw them up in the air. And because there's so much energy coming from the sun that if things get moving so fast, all the things that we planted in the spring are growing so well and so big and so fast. This is on every level. So it can become quite so much activity that we can fall off our horse, our chariot, our unicorn. So, but it's fun. That's why all the concerts happen. The musical concerts, the big ones, they begin late May, middle June, and they go all the way till October in North America. You've got all the beautiful outdoor amphitheaters in the world, like the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, and there's another one in San Francisco, and I'm sure they have them all over the world. Outdoor theaters where you're under the stars listening to these amazing concerts by all the people we love. Summer. Yeah. So in what relationship are you feeling you're in the summer? And do you even have one that's in the summer? And I think the hardest one to be with is not the winter. For me, it's the fall. It's the letting go of all the activity and the beauty of the love growing so profoundly in the summer. Letting that go in the fall. And fall is the favorite season of many. Yeah, it's pretty amazing how so many people, they cherish the leaves falling and the colors changing in the trees, which can be exquisite in the Northeast U.S. here. In the Northwest, we have mostly evergreens. But unless you go down into Oregon, yeah, but it's mostly East Coast, turns multicolors, just exquisite. And I think that helps a lot for us to let go of the summer. It's the gorgeous beauty that can appear in the fall, which also brings the storms. And so you do have a lot of harvesting of the good, bad, and perhaps the ugly in the fall of a particular relationship or experience. I remember very clearly after my divorce, actually before the divorce, when I had a breakdown on every single level. And I was running around looking for some kind of temple that I could drop into and find myself in all of the emotional duress and chaos. So I went to a good friend who has a Hindu temple in a cave on his property in Kauai. And I was there for quite a while, just sobbing, wondering what was going on. So as I was leaving, getting into my car, he came out of the house. He saw my condition and he says, "Wayne, have you taken a fall?" And I never looked at it that way before, but it was absolutely a fall because it felt like dying. And I'm sure that the plants and the trees, they don't feel like they're dying in the fall, even though, you know, a lot of things turn brown and lose all of their color on into winter. But it's so obvious. The leaves are falling, right? And so it's good to honor if a relationship is in the fall, is in the part where things are coming apart, things are moving towards stillness. Can often feel like something's dying. I have a new course that I'm putting up for all those people that are in that transition. I'm calling it the midlife reset. And yet, I notice that the cycles and seasons I'm speaking about can be any age can be going through it. You can have a person that was born into a very clever wisdom mindset who can experience what we call middle age or midlife in their late 20s or 30s, depending on how hard the relationship hit them and how glued they are to their moralistic programming that is getting a major upgrade by being broken. Yeah. So, yeah, midlife reset. Look for it if you're on my email list. I put out the first email last night. And you'll find me on WayneKPowell.com. That's WayneKPowell.com. And midlife reset is for everybody who's in a major transition. Perhaps a very close relative just passed away. Perhaps there's a breakup or a divorce or suicidal tendencies. All of the chaos that leads us away from our true self, hopefully, will be attracted to midlife reset. Because midlife is not so much about age. It's more about we're questioning our life and what it's about. And why do we experience so much pain on different levels? And the course is designed to bring you into full alignment with your authentic, true, radiant, innocent self. Very powerful medicine. Yeah. So check out the link on the website and see if it's for you. And if you're not sure, I'm also offering a free 20-minute consult if you want to talk to me in person before registering. It's very, very affordable because I want it to be open to as many people as possible. And anyone who's ever studied with me over the last 35 years, they can come in for 50% off. How about that? There you go. So there's my plug for the day. And I'm hoping somebody has a juicy question for me. So I'll give you a moment to gather yourself. Open your mic. Unfortunately, I can't see the people on YouTube. or Facebook from this computer. But that's going to change. I'm going to upgrade my tech and find out how this can be done. Because I might be moving soon from the boat. And I want to keep you guys informed. So John, Penelope, Michael, any of you can type a question in the chat if you don't want to come on. Or you can open your mic. All right, we've got a bunch of shy folks here today. Either that or I've stunned them with enough mystic wisdom. Let's see, what else is going on? Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Don't trust your mind or your feelings. They're only telling you what you're thinking and how you're feeling. But when you trust yourself, that very still, small voice that's willing to love you unconditionally, guidance will follow. I'll give you a perfect example. Just recently there was a current event here in the harbor that apparently I was the cause of. And one night there was a power cord on the floating dock that was sparking. It was arcing. You couldn't see it because it wasn't sparking, but it was arcing, and you could hear it. And I didn't hear it, but somebody walking by heard it. And they called the fire department. Natural response to hearing something arcing at night like that. And then he noticed my light on and came to the boat, knocked on the door, told me, "Hey, come on out here. I want to see if you can hear this." So I walked out to the pole and I could hear the arcing. And sure enough, the power cord had fallen between the float and the pole that holds the float in place, right? The power cord had fallen in here, between here. And with the float going up and down with the tide, it rubbed off the insulation on the power cord. And so I unplugged it, and I thanked him, and I went inside, went to bed. Well, the next day, the manager of the marina comes in, and he's pretty upset. Yeah, for all kinds of reasons I'd rather not mention. But he tells me I'll have to move. So, practicing what I'm teaching you guys, I had a very quick spring, summer, and that became fall with his notice. And then the winter would be, I'm gone. All of this happens within 3 months. And the reason I'm bringing this story up is because I was really surprised, delighted actually, that I had signed a lease here for a year, and I was planning on being here for a year. And running a lot of the patterns I've run before when I come, playing a lot of gigs on the coast here. And that was annihilated with him telling me I had to move. So I did what I'm sharing with you, what I'm teaching. I noticed there was no fear. There was no fear. There was no guilt. There was no shame. There was a very clear observance of everything that took place and the role that everybody played in the scenario. Because I was checking my body, and I thought, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll feel different. And then my mind says, well, shouldn't you be looking for a place to live? You only have 2 weeks. I mean, the guy wants you out right away, but he might give you up to 2 weeks. And I looked at my mind, place to live, and I defaulted to trust. I says to my mind, no, I'm not going to look for a place to live. I'm going to wait for an opportunity to come to me. It worked. Amazing. I blew my own mind completely. That just relaxing into trust worked so perfectly. It was 2 days later, I get a call from my office manager. And she says, well, why don't you come stay with us? I was like, really? And she says, yeah, that it was her husband's idea. I was like, what? They have a very, very busy domestic household. And so moving from this sovereignty of this really quiet harbor into that, once again, I didn't notice any fear. My mind, in default, was making adjustments for what that's going to be like. And once again, trusting this is being guided because there's no fear. There's no reaction from fear. It's amazing how quickly things can turn around, how synchronistic and how serendipitous things can become when you drop completely into trusting God, if you want to call it that, universe, source, life. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's the energy that is behind all of creation. So when we cultivate this feeling, this energy more through breathing it in every day when there's no challenges, communion with it every day when there's no challenges, into me I see. Intimacy, intimate communion every day with the source of our being, the source of all creation. A trust will develop because it becomes the default of our lifestyle. And you'll find less and less judgment when you look around, when you hear the atrocities that are happening in the world. When someone triggers you, you'll be responsible to that triggers in me. There's a program running that this trigger is informing me of. So this shit really works. It works really, really good if you're after peace. Yeah. And being able to process pain on any level. The more we develop that deep trust with what lives forever within us and around us, the more it will carry us in grace to the next moment. Yeah. Oh, it fills me with joy just to think about it. Wow. Yeah. And today I don't have a song for you, but I'm prompted to share a chant with you that the island of Kauai brought to me, wrote and brought to me. How did that happen? Well, my store was on the north shore of Kauai, Hanalei Video and Music in Qingyang Village. And I was living in the Keapana Valley, which is up the Kealohi River on the east side. We were about a mile into the valley where we birthed our third son. And driving all the way to work every day was about maybe a 40-minute drive if I took my time. Around about maybe 35-40% of the island. And it's the same road every day, the same mountains every day, the same ocean every day, same sky every day. And yet every single day, rain or shine, she appeared more beautiful to me than the day before. Every day. And I just filled with so much gratitude and love for Kauai that I asked her, because when I drive, I don't listen to music. I like to listen with the windows open to the trade winds and to the environment, just like the boat is bobbing now. I like to listen to everything that my being is planted in the moment. So I asked Kauai, I says, how is this possible? I'm driving. How is this possible that you are more beautiful every single day? I says to her. How is this possible? Because I thought I was going to burst with gratitude and a communion with the Aina. And she answered me. So close your eyes and listen to this chant. It's on the Great Love album. It's the last track number 11. It's called I Am. And this is what she said. Go vertical and breathe in from above. And feel this chant. Let it in. She said to me, Kauai said to me, in answer to how are you more beautiful every day, she said, I am spirit alive. I am spirit alive. I am. Deep breath. I am love alive. I am love alive. I am. Deep breath. You are spirit You are spirit alive. You are. You are. You are. Deep breath. We are spirit alive. We are spirit alive. We are. We are. We are. Deep breath. I am spirit alive. I am spirit alive. I am. Sing with me. I am. I am. I am. I am. And so it is. We are spirit alive. Love alive. We are. Blessings on your day, your week, your life, and your soul. Thank you so much for showing up. And ahui ho, till we meet again next Sunday. Same time, same place. Malama pono. Take good care.